Matthew McConaughey, once lolling in the magnificence of heartbreaker popularity as the lord of lighthearted comedies, wound up on a thrill ride, taking off to stunning levels of veneration. Yet in addition, confronting the unforgiving truth of being abandoned by an industry that once embraced him, I didn't get work, it didn't work for north of 2 years. Hollywood failed to remember me, it's simply so haughty, a gathering is dishonest to me. So they're putting down their last stronghold of profound. So when I was unable to do what I needed to do, I quit doing what I had been doing, which was the romantic comedy. Now that was me purchasing a one-way ticket into limbo. And perhaps never working in Hollywood. I saw a portion of those individuals go to applaud, however, at that point notice that could be awful thing on my resume. And afterward enrapturing crowds with his charming lead jobs in dearest films like How to Lose a Person in 10 Days, and inability to send off McConaughey had the world stricken with his adorable on-screen personas. Yet profound inside the entertainer longed to break the requirements of his rom-com type projecting driving him to set out on a surprising turn in his vocation. Matthew McConaughey's ascent to fame was energized by the veneration of innumerable fainting fans who cherished his rom-com jobs. Anyway, this achievement included some significant pitfalls as he ended up bound to a generalization that smothered his inventive investigation and ruined his development as a craftsman. With a longing for new difficulties, he concluded the time had come to break liberated from the shackles of unsurprising romantic comedies, much to his dismay that this quest for something else would lead him down a way of dismissal and surrender by the very business that had once embraced him. During a meeting with Great Morning America, McConaughey uncovered the difficulties he experienced while endeavoring to limit any association with lighthearted comedies. Our esteemed romantic comedy heartbreaker confronted a difficult stretch splitting away from those messy jobs. We as a whole loved him, and could you at any point fault him, however, who would have zero desire to investigate new domains and assume additional requesting personalities in spite of his yearnings? Hollywood wasn't open, they left him hanging with next to no intriguing proposals for an amazing 20 months in endlessness in the realm of showbiz. The nerve of those fat cats to walk out on our kid Matthew Wright when he needed to develop as an entertainer. It was a cruel reality for the once darling heartbreaker, and as time elapsed he felt neglected and disregarded by an industry that had once celebrated him. The observation, a term used to depict his revival as an entertainer, was going full bore anyway. The entertainer couldn't resist the opportunity to ponder the business detachment, making the excursion even more testing during his profession progress. It became obvious that the exciting universe of Broadway quickly overlooked McConaughey when he really thought about breaking liberated from the crate they had bound him to. Besides, he defied the cruel truth of Hollywood's unfair propensities transparently. In a sincere meeting, he shed light on the predominant left-wing and mainstream culture inside the business. Boldly he addressed why his qualities were disapproved of, while other strict convictions were all the more promptly acknowledged. His disclosures sent shockwaves through the business. Lighting warmed banters on segregation inside Hollywood's sparkling walls. McConaughey's a conflict with separation arrived at its zenith when he reviewed an occurrence at an elegant honors function picture. This during that extravagant occasion, as he was going to acknowledge a lofty honor, he chose to communicate his otherworldliness and say thanks to God in his acknowledgement discourse. It was as of now that things got really fascinating. It's difficult to accept, yet not every person in the room shared the heavenly energies. When Matthew McConaughey offered his thanks to God, a portion of his supposed companions and individual superstars treated him with utter disdain. These were similar individuals who used to ask with him during suppers, yet presently they were acting holier than thou by not cheering his snapshot of expressing gratitude toward God. He saw some of them wondered whether or not to applaud, looking at something pessimistic in their psyches, and afterward chose not to show their endorsement. The chilling quietness said a lot about the implicit bias. He looked for his Christian convictions It made one keep thinking about whether Hollywood was prepared to rebuff him for thinking for even a second to embrace his confidence straightforwardly. The shameful censure started extreme conversations inside the business, with hypotheses spinning out of control that strong figures in Hollywood may be boycotting the entertainer because of his dauntlessness to go to bat for his qualities. Yet, as it's been said, when one entryway shuts, another opens. And did McConaughey find that open entryway in 2013 when he handled the job that could only be described as epic in Dallas Purchasers Club. He assumed the difficult personality of Ron Woodruff. And gracious my, did he convey a presentation for the ages. The job in Dallas Purchasers Club was moved developmental, exhibiting Matthew McConaughey's acting chops more than ever. Hollywood could never again disregard him, as pundits went wild for his uncommon presentation. A definitive acknowledgement came when he procured the most elevated honor in the business, the Foundation Grant for Best Entertainer. In a main job envisioned the fulfillment he probably felt remaining on that stage, grasping that brilliant sculpture, realizing that he had vanquished an industry that had once betrayed him. At this point, McConaughey's excursion to recover his vocation and reclassify himself in Hollywood was not without dramatization, as he began handling the sort of jobs he had yearned for. Tales started to course about the explanations for his underlying dismissal by the business, and insiders murmured that his choice to limit any association with the romantic comedy world had estranged persuasive makers and chiefs who were acclimated with capitalizing on his heartbreaker picture. It was recommended that they were reluctant to face a challenge, a more drawn-out fit on an entertainer, conveniently into the natural and worthwhile rom-com equation. As tattle sections got on these theories, the interest encompassing McConaughey's rebound just developed as murmurs and hypotheses developed. It gave the idea that McConaughey had been boycotted by Hollywood's first-class, amazing him. For almost 2 years, the once cherished romantic comedy star turned trying emotional entertainer appeared to find no room on the purported projecting lounge chair. Anyway, McConaughey's flexibility and unquestionable ability, in the end, one prompting a progression of widely praised exhibitions that restored him as perhaps of Hollywood's most regarded entertainer. The surveillance wasn't an individual victory. It filled in as a strong sign of the flightiness of media outlets and the difficulties looked by the people who try to oppose pigeonholing the way to reclamation was cleared, with various champion exhibitions that spellbound the two crowds. And pundits' films like Mud Interstellar and Genuine Investigator displayed a profundity and adaptability already concealed during his romantic comedy days. In those motion pictures, McConaughey showed a degree of profundity and flexibility that hardened his standing as a considerable entertainer. The times of being restricted to a heartbreaker picture were a distant memory. His amazing depiction in these jobs exhibited that he was not just a knowledgeable man, a prepared pilot, and a designer, yet additionally a craftsman equipped for conveying convincing exhibitions with extraordinary profundity. He dug profound into complex characters, shedding his heartbreaker persona to uncover the genuine craftsman inside. As McConaughey prospered in his recently discovered achievement, a retribution happened among Hollywood's tip-top pundits and fans. The same started scrutinizing the business propensity for categorizing entertainers and smothering imagination. The observation filled in as a wake-up call, focusing on the business intolerance and its propensity to focus on benefit over creative investigation. With each heavenly exhibition, murmurs of disappointment and botched open doors circled among Hollywood's power players. It became obvious that McConaughey's resurgence was not only a simple rebound, it remained as a demonstration of the force of imaginative validness and the possible prizes of facing challenges. In the midst of the surveillance, McConaughey himself stayed political about his past battles, effortlessly recognizing that Hollywood's dismissal had eventually powered his change and pushed him to look for jobs that really tested him as an entertainer. He credited the experience to reinforcing his purpose and sharpening his center McConaughey's victorious, thought back to Hollywood's top-notch, earned deference and regard from the to his friends and fans. His ardent Oscar acknowledgement discourse filled in as a strong demonstration of the strength and assurance that had energized his striking process. Offering thanks for the help he got during his profession change, he recognized that his prosperity was owed to the individuals who put stock in his ability when the business appeared to be reluctant to do, as such as the surveillance, unfurled Hollywood itself. Went through a time of soul-looking through McConaughey's experience, provoked conversations about the squeezing need for more noteworthy variety and inclusivity. In projecting choices, the entertainer's process moved the business to break liberated from the limits of pigeonholing and embrace a more receptive way to deal with ability. In the years that followed, McConaughey kept on conveying convincing exhibitions, demonstrating that his resurgence was not a short-lived snapshot of progress. His continuous accomplishments exhibited that the surveillance was a persevering through demonstration of the force of ability, legitimacy, and tirelessness in an industry that can rush to pass judgment and cut off entertainers. In view of assumptions, Matthew's process was a shallow makeover, as well as a certifiable change. His faithful devotion to his art and readiness to face challenges set his status as quite possibly of Hollywood's most regarded and sought-after entertainer. In the meantime, fans have praised Matthew for confronting the lobby Hollywood elites and entertainer